First up this evening, the protests led by the Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam against the UGC draft rules in the national capital had Rahul Gandhi and the Samajwadi Party's Akhilesh Yadav in attendance, along with the DMK's Kanimozhi Karunanidhi. While Tamil Nadu, remember, had taken the lead in the opposition to the UGC draft guidelines, 6 opposition rule states, including Karnataka, Telangana, Himachal, Kerala and Jharkhand, have also demanded the withdrawal of the draft guidelines. The most contentious aspect in that draft rules is the proposal to curb the powers of the state government in appointment of search committees and appointment of vice-chancellors to universities. Meanwhile, the UGC has extended the deadline to submit responses to its draft rules till the 28th of February.
Aim of the RSS is the eradication of all other histories, all other cultures, all other traditions in this country. That is their starting point, and that is what they want to achieve, because they want to impose one idea, which is their idea, one history, one tradition, one language on this country. And this attempt that they're doing with the education system of the different states, this is just another attempt to push their agenda.
Hi, Kanimozhi here right now. Ma'am, one question just. Ma'am, we understand that you're saying, this is not a transparent system. Yes. Why do you say so?
See, when you say that the union government will recommend non-academics and the system which has been followed, and in that panel to select the vice-chancellor, you will not have the state government say in it. Obviously goes against state autonomy, state rights, and I think education is still in the concurrent list. It is not it's not in the union list. So I think the union government has to learn to respect.
It is in the concurrent list, ma'am. However, the constitution states that if state law and central law are in conflict, then the latter shall prevail.
You cannot make laws which go against the interests of students from backward communities and from SCs who've been left out of the education system for centuries. So this is exactly what they're trying to do.
Remember, already several opposition rule states are fighting governors over vice-chancellor appointments, and with the opposition closing ranks on this issue, the question now is, what is the centre's stand on the matter, and will the centre relent? Joining me this evening, Surbhi Hodigare of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Dr. Saeed Hafiz of the DMK, Bhavya Narasimhamurthy of the Congress, and our very own Dr. Sandeep Shastri. Thanks to all 4 of you for joining us here on the Southern View this evening. My first question to you, Surbhi Hodigare, the insinuation is that the draft rules are less about trying to bring in reforms or functioning of education, more about trying to gain political ideological control over universities, which is being opposed by several states, at the moment opposition states. How do you respond?
Rahul Gandhi's statement on the RSS and the BJP ecosystem is completely misinformed and is rooted in this perspective that universities and academia is a battleground for political ideologies. It is not. We are in a country today that has the youngest youth population. We have a median age of 28. We need to empower our kids to make sure that they are at their best in terms of what they are learning. And that is what this UGC guideline is attempting to do. And this is what the NEP is doing. We have seen that in many reports where the NEP has worked in various ways in higher education as well. What the states are opposing is not their curling of authority. It's not, autonomy. What I found it so laughable that Rahul Gandhi would say that we are trying to impose one language, everything. I'm sitting in the BJP office today. Please look at the representation of languages that's happening. That is a complete misinformation that the Congress ecosystem likes to peddle. What this, why the states are unhappy, these opposition states, is because what the UGC is trying to do is standardize, make sure that there's more accountability, bring in transparency and higher efficiency. This means that the states can't appoint who they want to. This means that you cannot buy off a seat. This means that there is more guidelines and stricter guidelines to follow. That is what the states are opposing, in the guard of their autonomy. Please tell me, when there is a UGC Act, when there is specific guidelines to be followed for appointment of VCs. Why is it that Chief Minister Sidramaiah, when he was in recent state university, said that no, let's do away with the governor's role and the Chief Minister will make an appointment? How can a political person make an appointment? You have zero trust in the institutions.
Let me take the first point you're making, Surbi Hodigare, to my friend, to Syed Hafizullah of the DMK. Syed, the argument Surbi is making that this is about standardization and not about control. What the opposition is worried about is standardization of education. That's the argument she's made. Please respond.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. The whole controversy has two major angles to it. One is a constitutional angle, second is a political angle. As far as the constitutional angle is concerned, the fact is similar that a UGC regulation is a sub-legislation. It is not a law, it is not a legislation. Whereas state statutes, the state university statutes are laws and legislation. The Supreme Court judgment says that when there is a central law and a state law, when they're contradicting, the central law prevails. But in no wisdom of law, that a sub-legislation can override or overrule a state statutory is not an acceptable theory or an acceptable principle in law. Hence, first thing, legally, it's invalid to bring in a regulation, a sub-legislation that will override a state power or a state law. That itself is against the cooperative federalism. That's first constitutional angle to it. Second, the Prime Minister who mourns emergency till today, the emergency was taken to concurrent list during the emergency. The Prime Minister who mounts emergency should undo and send the education back to the state list. Rather, whatever is remaining in the concurrent list, the Prime Minister is behaving, or the Union government is behaving as if it is going to the Union list, which is unacceptable. That is again unconstitutional. 3, Vice Chancellor is an administrative post. It is not a teaching post. So, how can you improve the academic standard by by bringing laws to change the administrative post? See, the UGC Primary Act of the 1956 clearly states that UGC can do anything to improve academic standard. But here, Vice Chancellor is an administrative post. So how can you bring that
Syed, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you've raised 3 very important questions, and I'm going to get Surbi to respond to each one of them. Surbi, very, very briefly, quick responses. 1, it violates the spirit of cooperative federalism, says Syed Hafizullah. 2, it has nothing to do with administration. 3, he says, more importantly, it's time to move education back to the state list, which was moved into the concurrent list during the emergency. Quick responses from you before I get to Bhavya.
My quick response is I welcome the the statement that it should be moved back to the state list. If DMK truly believes that, then I'm sure they will apply the same standard for everything that was done during the emergency, and be supportive of everything that was done during the undoing everything during the emergency, including the inclusion of secularism in the constitution, in the preamble. Having said that, coming back to the issue, I'd like to say that if at all if we look at institutions today, of course, the Vice Chancellor has a very important role to play. It might not be directly academic in terms of inputs on academia curriculum or on academia itself, but he is the person who runs, he or she is the person who decides the path for the institution. Of course, they have an important role to play, and that determines leadership. That leadership is critical. On the point of the legality, I'm happy to go back and forth on this, but we can cite various instances where center has provided these sort of guidelines that states have then worked around. What is this fear? Please tell me. There is a conversation on the academic indicator, the performance indicators. What are the specific concerns? This is a draft bill. There is conversation. Was there a requirement to make this political? Who has made this political? You have made this political by making it into a anti-federalism issue. Well,
I'll come to you, Syed. Bhavya, just respond to the question that she has raised, saying that what is the big fear about this whole process? Because the DMK, parties like the DMK have been categorical on the stand, saying that the state government is the one which is funding the functioning of these universities, and hence the state government should have the role, the primary role in appointment of vice chancellors. Bhavya.
The problem with BJP is they want to run this country the way they're running their political party, a centralized control, and give the whole control to another external organization like RSS. BJP, starting from the Prime Minister to their president to the spokesperson, and everyone need to learn to appreciate the richness of diversity that exists in this country. And when it comes to South Indian states, which are in the forefront right now against this particular guidelines that has changed, and talking about federalism, yes, we respect education more than any other states out there. And you know, education, the highest literates are from South India today, because there was autonomy with the southern governments, state governments so far.
No,
Given a chance, I'll tell you, BJP will transfer everything starting from state list and concurrent list into union list. They just want to control everything that they can. And you are talking about making education a battlefield? Really? Who made this? What? Who are you to control a state education system? It is in the concurrent list. Yes. That doesn't mean you get a chance to appoint the VCs. Whatever was happening so far, we have moved ahead in the education system, starting from your NEP, National Education Policy, to this particular thing. All they want to do is just have a centralized control on education.
Okay, you made your point. Sandeep Shastri.
Youngsters. No, you need to give me more time, because you have given them a lot of time. All they want to do is fill in their toxicity.
No, I've given both the DMK and you.
And that is not acceptable.
What is this? What is this tirade against
you are not going to get any control. You're not going to get any control over the education system of our state.
I need to get Sandeep Shastri into this. Just hang on. Let me get Sandeep Shastri into this.
How we educate our children. You are not going to decide how we educate our children.
Sandeep Shastri, is this a state versus center battle? Is this an ideological battle, A, over control of education institutions and universities? Or finally, what would be the impact of this confrontation that we see on the higher education system per se? Quickly.
Veera, you have raised the right question. For 43 years now, I have been involved in a university education system, right from assistant professor up to vice chancellor. When I listen to the debate that has just happened, I ask myself the question, is it about education, higher education, or is it about politics? Is it about quality of education, or is it about control over education? Is it about coordination of good education, or is it about confrontation? Now, I think what needs to be done is please allow education its autonomy and free it of all types of political control, be it central control, be it state control. Both the center and the state should invest on quality education and allow education to be run by eminent educationists, rather than the question being raised whether state should control how and why university appointments are made, or center should control how and university appointments are made. I think the controversy is higher education is caught in the crossfire between the center and the state. And this has done greatest damage to higher education. So my plea to all my three spokespersons and through them to all their parties is, please give higher education the autonomy it deserves to be able to achieve our goals, taking education forward. The greatest challenge education faces is the political control, which has led to a fall in quality. Dr. Saeed, finally, one small correction. The Vice Chancellor's post is not an administrative post. You need people who are well trained in the whole philosophy of learning and teaching. Our tragedy is we have too many vice chancellors who have stopped being involved with education and actively involved in politics, which has resulted in what we are seeing today.
I have just 1 minute left. Saeed Hafiz, quickly just sum up your position on this. What next in this controversy?
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate all the comments made by Mr. Sandeep. I know it is not only purely an administrative post, it is also an administrative post. So hence the UGC Act does not come into thing where administrative post is involved. That is categorically come up in a Bombay High Court judgment in 2011. The view taken by the court was it's also an UGC Act. That is what I mentioned. And when you spoke about the improving higher education system, then I think the union government should follow Tamil Nadu, which is a front runner in almost all the parameters that have been come out by the union government. Let it be NIR or all the.
Fortunately, there seems to be a problem with your line, Saeed Hafizullah. Bhavya and Surbhi Hodigere. Surbhi Hodigere, first to you. Quick sum up points in terms of what's the way forward on this.
We are in absolute agreement with what Sandeep Shastri sir has said. Absolutely, universities need to be prepared for the future that we are building, and that is why we are placing efficiency over corruption. We are placing, this is not UGC guidelines is what being followed. It's UGC that is being strengthened. It is not the central government that's being strengthened. And to the Congress spokesperson who keeps talking, this tirade against North-South, please stop dividing the country. As you can very well see, there are languages South, not everything here. I'm a South Indian. Stop this North-South.
Final.
Absolutely, that's not what this is about.
BJP is really smart. It just reflects in your spokesperson. Be respectful. I will speak over you. I expect you to give me my time. Be respectful, maintain your dignity, and don't speak over me.
Go ahead, Bhavya, quickly. Quickly, just finish.
Tell Surabhi is, you were educated in South India. Please appreciate it. Do you know why? Because I'll just give you one fact which shows the contrast between BJP and the Congress ruled states and center, and how we give importance to education. The budgetary allocation that in the total expenditure in 2013-14, when Congress was in power, 3.16% of the total expenditure was given to education. But do you know the spending this year? It's just 1.55%. And for higher education, 1 minute. For higher education, Surabhi, be respectful. Let me finish.
Generations. For generations.
In Karnataka, the budget allocation
is party with respect to education.
2%.
Just because you cannot have
Full
your
education is 10%.
does not
you
mean
people
that we
don't
are doing wrong.
Education.
Policy.
I think we need to put an end to this. Surbhi Hodigere as well as Bhavya Narasimhamurthy. This is, thanks very much Saeed Hafizullah, Sandeep Shastri, Surbhi Hodigere as well as Bhavya Narasimhamurthy for joining us.